The car door slammed shut with a metallic bang that echoed through the underground parking garage. Zara's hands trembled as she jammed the key into the ignition, her pulse hammering in her ears. The engine roared to life and she peeled out, tires screeching against concrete as she rocketed up the exit ramp into the neon-soaked streets. An hour minutes ago, she'd found it. The encrypted files buried in the company's servers, proof of everything they'd suspected, and worse. Her fingers had fumbled across her phone screen. Found something. You need to see this now, ZC. Jiwon's reply had come in seconds. My penthouse. 15 minutes. Come alone. MJ. She wove through traffic, jaw clenched, the flash drive burning like a live coal in her jacket pocket. Every red light felt like an eternity. Time was of essence. Zara's blood turned to ice when she realized who the traitor was. Not Lee Sangwo, not Minho, but Kim Yuna. The woman who'd worked her way up from nothing, who'd become one of the few female executives in Jiwon's organization through sheer brilliance and dedication, who'd been held up as proof that merit mattered more than gender in the syndicate, who'd mentored Yoonji before she died. This was Yoonji's discovery. This was why Yoonji had been killed. Because she'd found evidence that Jiwon's deputy finance director was a traitor operating at the highest levels with access to everything that mattered. Zara encrypted the files, coded them with security protocols that would self-destruct if anyone except Jiwon tried to access them. Zara grabbed the encrypted drive containing her evidence, checked the compact pistol strapped to her ankle, and headed for the elevator. Every instinct screamed danger. Every rational calculation said this was the moment everything could go wrong. But she'd come too far to back down now. The drive to Jiwon's penthouse felt like traveling through a dream. Seoul's evening traffic moved around her like water around stone, and Zara watched the city blur past while her mind rehearsed what she'd say, how she'd present the evidence, what Jiwon's reaction would be when he learned that one of his most trusted executives had been bleeding him dry. The penthouse elevator required the same biometric scans, but this time when the doors opened, Jiwon was waiting. Not by the windows, not at the dining table, standing directly in front of the elevator, and the expression on his face made her breath catch. His right hand hung at his side without the brace. "Show me," he said. Zara's eyes fixed on his injured hand, the one that was supposedly shattered beyond use. "Your hand is fine." His voice was firm. "Show me what you found." She handed him the encrypted drive, her mind reeling from the confirmation of what the mysterious text had said. Jiwon moved to a laptop on the coffee table, inserted the drive, entered access codes that unlocked the encryption, and began reading. Both hands moved across the keyboard with fluid efficiency. She watched his face, saw the moment comprehension dawned, saw his jaw tighten and his hands, both of them, curl into fists. Kim Yuna. The name came out like a curse. 4 years. 4 years she's been here, trusted, given access, welcomed into meetings where we discussed strategy and operations and vulnerabilities. And all along she was bleeding me dry. "The evidence is conclusive," Zara said quietly. "Financial records, communication logs, even payment confirmations showing money flowing into offshore accounts registered under shell companies she controls. She's been playing you since the beginning." Jiwon stood, and now she noticed the difference, the way he moved without favoring his supposedly injured hand. She kept her thoughts to herself. He moved to the windows, and for a long moment said nothing. When he finally spoke, his voice was ice. "Yoonji found this too. Came to me with preliminary findings. I told her to verify it before making formal accusations. Told her to be absolutely certain. She said she needed to consult with someone who understood our financial systems better. Someone who could confirm her analysis." "Who?" "I don't know. She never told me. She was killed before our next scheduled meeting." His reflection in the glass looked like a ghost, and I've been hunting her killer ever since, not realizing that the person she consulted was the same person she'd uncovered. You think Yoonji told Yuna? I think Yoonji trusted the wrong person. Yuna was her mentor, her friend, someone she'd worked with for years. Why wouldn't she ask Yuna to verify findings about financial irregularities? It would seem natural, appropriate. Jiwon turned to face her. Which means you're in danger. The moment Yuna realizes you've discovered the same evidence Yoonji found, she'll try to kill you too. Then we move against her first. It's not that simple. His expression was grim. Yuna has connections, protection. If I move against her without ironclad evidence presented before the full council, her allies will claim I'm purging innocent people to cover my own incompetence. It will start internal warfare that could destroy everything I've built. So what do we do? Jiwon moved closer, both hands visible now. Zara saw, noticed it, and came to her in hidden realization. There was something in his eyes she'd never seen before. Not calculation, not strategy. Something raw, more human. We set a trap. Make Yuna think you found evidence pointing elsewhere. Feed her false information that leads her to act rashly, and when she moves to eliminate you, we catch her in the act. Irrefutable proof, undeniable guilt, evidence the council can't rationalize away. You want to use me as bait. I want to give you the chance to finish what Yoonji started. His hand, his supposedly broken hand, found hers, warm and solid and surprisingly gentle. But, Miss Chen, understand what I'm asking. This will be dangerous. Yuna is smart, connected, and absolutely ruthless. If she suspects the trap, she'll kill you before we can intervene. You'll be gambling your life on my ability to protect you. Zara thought about her father, about 8 years of grief, about Richard Brennan still walking free, about Yoonji drowning in the Han River, about the choice between safety and justice that had defined her entire adult life, about her mother's warnings that Seoul was dangerous for women like them, that being different meant being vulnerable. But her mother had also taught her that being different meant being strong in ways others couldn't understand. What's the plan? Jiwon's smile was sharp as a broken glass. Tomorrow morning you'll submit a preliminary report. Not to me, to the full operations committee, including Yuna. The report will indicate you found evidence of theft in the Busan operations, and you believe Park Min-ho is responsible. You'll request authorization to conduct a deeper investigation. The false trail Sang-woo warned me about. Exactly. Yuna will see that you've taken the bait. She'll believe you've missed the real evidence, that you're chasing phantoms while she remains hidden. It will make her confident, careless. And then? Then you continue investigating publicly while privately gathering more evidence against Yuna. Enough to prove beyond doubt that she's been operating as a thief and murderer. And when you have everything, when the case is ironclad, you'll arrange a private meeting with her. Tell her you've discovered something that could destroy the organization, but you're willing to negotiate, willing to look the other way for the right price. Zara's breath caught. You want me to approach her as a potential ally, make her think I'm corrupt too. I want you to give her a reason to expose herself. Yuna won't be able to resist the opportunity to recruit someone with your access. She'll try to turn you. And when she does, when she reveals herself trying to flip you to her side, we'll have everything we need, including recording equipment. Hidden so well she'll never detect it. You'll be wired from the moment you enter that meeting. Everything she says, every admission of guilt, every attempt to recruit you, all of it captured, all of it admissible before the council. It was brilliant, dangerous, potentially fatal if anything went wrong. But it was also the only way to end this without starting a war that would consume hundreds of innocent lives. When do we start? Tomorrow. Ji-won's grip on her hand tightened, both hands now no longer hiding his strength. But tonight, I need you to understand something. If this goes wrong, if Yuna suspects the trap and kills you, I will destroy her completely. Every asset, every connection, every person who helped her. I will make her death so brutal that criminal organizations will tell stories about it for generations. Not because you work for me, because I owe Yoonji that much, and because I refuse to lose another person to traitors hiding in my house. The vow should have terrified her. Instead, Zara felt something warm unfurl in her chest. Protection. Not the clinical kind that came from being a valuable asset. The personal kind that came from being seen as human, as mattering beyond utilitarian value. Ji-won, she said, using his name without the formal title for the first time. I'm not doing this because you're paying me. I'm doing this because Yoonji deserves justice, because traitors should pay for their crimes, and because Richard Brennan is still breathing, and you promised to help me fix that. I keep my promises. His voice was quiet. Always. Then let's finish this. Together. Ji-won pulled her closer, and for one suspended moment, Zara thought he might kiss her, might cross the line between employer and employee, between crime lord and analyst, between the carefully maintained distance that had defined their relationship. She could see it in his eyes. The want, the need, the dangerous acknowledgement that somewhere between the shattered office and encrypted files and midnight conversations, something had shifted. But he didn't. Instead, he pressed his forehead to hers, breathing the same air, close enough to feel his heartbeat through the thin fabric of his shirt. Don't die tomorrow, he whispered in Korean. I'm tired of fishing bodies from rivers. I'll do my best. Your best won't be enough. You'll need to be perfect. Then I'll be perfect. His laugh was soft, surprised, arrogant, accurate. They stood like that for a long moment, two people who should have been enemies, holding each other while Seoul glittered beyond the windows, like a promise and a threat wrapped in neon and steel. Tomorrow, Zara would submit her false report, would spring Ji-won's trap, would walk into Yuna's web and hope the spider didn't realize the fly had teeth. Tonight, she let herself be human. Let herself lean into Ji-won's strength and warmth, and the terrifying knowledge that she'd started to care about this man who killed people before breakfast and built empires from blood and deception. When she finally pulled away, Ji-won's expression was unreadable. The driver will take you home. Sleep, eat, prepare. Tomorrow, everything changes. It already has. She left without looking back, rode the elevator down through 50 stories of carefully constructed power, and emerged into Seoul's night air feeling like she'd just crossed a threshold she could never recross. The war was coming. The trap was set. And somewhere in Ji-won's organization, Kim Yuna was planning her next move, unaware that the game had just shifted. Zara smiled in the darkness as the Genesis pulled away from the curb. Her father hadn't raised a victim. Neither had her mother. They'd raised a fighter who understood that being different meant being underestimated, and tomorrow she'd use that to her advantage. Yoonji would have justice. Yuna would fall, and Richard Brennan's days of breathing freely were numbered. The forbidden alliance between a Korean crime lord and the half-Ghanaian daughter of a murdered accountant was about to become a weapon. Sharp, precise, and absolutely lethal. Her phone buzzed. Another message from the unknown number. You're playing a dangerous game, sister, but you're playing it well. Yuna doesn't know what's coming. Neither does someone else close to Ji-won. Trust your instincts. And remember, in Seoul, we survive by being smarter than those who underestimate us. A friend. Zara stared at the message. Someone else close to Ji-won. Another traitor? Her blood ran cold as a new possibility emerged. What if Yuna wasn't working alone? What if the conspiracy went deeper than anyone suspected? Welcome to the endgame, she thought. But the question remained, whose endgame was it really? The council meeting was set for 2 o'clock in the afternoon in the old building in Gangnam, a relic from the syndicate's founding days, all dark wood and darker history. Zara arrived at noon, 2 hours early, dressed in the crisp black suit Jiwon had provided and carrying enough concealed weapons to start a small war. She wasn't supposed to be here. Analysts didn't attend council meetings. But Jiwon had been explicit. She was to position herself in the observation gallery above the chamber, hidden from view but close enough to act if everything went wrong. The building smelled like old smoke and older secrets. Zara made her way through the corridors, nodding to the guards who'd been briefed to expect her, and climbed the narrow stairs to the gallery. The space was barely more than a balcony, enclosed by ornate wooden screens that allowed her to see into the chamber below while remaining invisible. She settled into position, checked her weapons, and waited. At 1:45, the council members began to arrive. 11 men and 2 women, all of them old enough to have survived decades in a business where most died young. They took their seats around the massive circular table, their faces carved from stone, their eyes calculating. At 1:55, Kim Yuna entered. She looked perfect, expensive suit, warm smile, every inch the loyal executive. She greeted each council member with practiced deference, made small talk about business and family, and gave no indication that beneath the polished exterior, she'd been systematically bleeding the organization dry for 3 years. At 2 exactly, Jiwon arrived. The room fell silent. Every eye turned to the door as he entered, his right hand fully covered in braces, hung limply by his side. Nature. He looked exactly as he always did, contained, untouchable, a king in all but name. Gentlemen, ladies, Jiwon's voice carried through the chamber in flawless Korean. Thank you for coming. We have much to discuss. The meeting began. Business matters, territory disputes, profit margins, alliance negotiations, standard syndicate politics. Zara watched Yuna carefully, saw the way her eyes kept flicking to Jiwon's right hand, saw the calculation behind her expression. At 2:20, Jiwon's phone buzzed. He glanced at it, then looked up at the council. I've just received the preliminary report from our new analyst. Miss Chen has identified significant irregularities in the Busan operations. Yuna's expression didn't change, but Zara saw her shoulders relax fractionally. The bait had been taken. What kind of irregularities? One of the elder council members asked. Evidence suggesting systematic diversion of funds over a 6-month period. The preliminary findings point to Park Minho as the primary suspect. Jiwon's voice was clinical. I'm requesting authorization to conduct a full investigation. Minho? Sang-woo's voice cut through the murmurs. That's impossible. He's been with us for 15 years. The evidence is preliminary, Jiwon acknowledged, but compelling enough to warrant deeper examination. I'll have Miss Chen present her full findings once the investigation is complete. The council voted. Authorization granted. Zara watched Yuna's face and saw satisfaction flicker across her features. She believed the trap had worked, believed Zara had fallen for the false evidence and was now chasing the wrong target. The meeting continued for another hour. When it finally adjourned, Yuna was the first to approach Jiwon. Sir, about this Minho situation, she said in Korean, her voice concerned. I'd be happy to assist Miss Chen with the financial analysis. My expertise might help expedite the investigation. That won't be necessary, Jiwon replied smoothly. Miss Chen is quite capable, but I appreciate your offer. Yuna bowed slightly and left, but Zara saw the calculation in her eyes, the wheels turning. Within hours, Yuna would reach out, offering mentorship, guidance, perhaps even a private meeting to discuss the complexities of investigating senior personnel. The trap was working. 3 days later, the message came. Yuna wanted to meet, not in the office, somewhere private, a coffee shop in Itaewon, neutral territory, public enough to seem safe, quiet enough for sensitive conversation. Zara sat across from Jaewon in his penthouse, the recording equipment spread between them on the coffee table, tiny devices that looked like jewelry, a watch with a hidden camera, a pen that captured audio. Technology so sophisticated it would be virtually undetectable. "She'll check you for wires," Jiwon said, his fingers, both hands, working to calibrate the equipment. "These are designed to pass standard detection, but if she's thorough, if she uses military-grade scanners, there's a chance she'll find them. What happens then? Then you run, and I come for you." His eyes met hers. "But it won't come to that. Yuna's confident. She thinks she's won. Confident people make mistakes. Like trusting a half-Ghanaian analyst who's only been here a week." "Exactly like that." Jiwon's smile was sharp. "She sees you as an outsider, someone who doesn't understand the intricacies of Korean criminal politics, someone who can be manipulated, bought, turned. She'll think your mixed heritage makes you desperate for acceptance, for belonging. She'll use that. Let her try." Jiwon attached the final piece of equipment, a necklace with a pendant that housed a camera and microphone. His fingers brushed against her collarbone as he fastened the clasp, and Zara felt electricity race across her skin. "This is the primary device," he said quietly in Korean. "The others are backups. Don't touch it. Don't draw attention to it. Let her see it as just another piece of jewelry." "Understood. When she makes her pitch, when she tries to recruit you, let her talk. The more she says, the more evidence we have. She'll probably offer money first, then protection, then appeal to your supposed grievances about being an outsider in Korean society. Play into it. Make her believe you're vulnerable, that you're angry about how you've been treated." "I won't have to pretend much," Zara said. The words came out more bitter than she intended. Growing up half Ghanaian in Seoul wasn't exactly easy. People stare, people whisper, people make assumptions. Jiwon's hand found hers. "I know. I've seen it. The way people look at you. The way some of my own people reacted when I brought you in. It's wrong. And it's useful. Because Yuna will assume those experiences make you easy to turn. She'll be wrong. And when I have everything, when she's admitted to the theft, to killing Yoonji, then you signal me. Touch the pendant twice. I'll be across the street with a full tactical team. We'll move in, extract you, and take Yuna into custody. Clean, professional, no collateral damage." "She won't come quietly." "No," Jiwon agreed. "She won't, which is why you need to be ready to move fast when we breach. Get down, stay down, let my people handle the rest." Zara nodded. Her heart hammered against her ribs, but her hands were steady. This was it, the moment everything had been building toward. "Jiwon," she said, and he looked up at her with those dark eyes that had seen too much death and somehow still held warmth when they looked at her. "Thank you for believing I could do this, for trusting me. Thank you for finishing what Yoonji started," his voice was soft, "and for giving me a reason to be better than what I am." The coffee shop in Itaewon was exactly as Zara remembered it, a small place that catered to foreigners and mixed families, where someone like her didn't attract stares. Yuna had chosen well. Zara arrived 15 minutes early, ordered a coffee, and sat in a corner booth where she could see the entrance. Yuna arrived precisely on time. She looked different outside the corporate environment, more casual, more approachable. She ordered tea and slid into the booth across from Zara with a warm smile. "Miss Chen, thank you for meeting me." "Of course, Director Kim." Zara kept her voice respectful, slightly nervous. "I was surprised by your message. Please call me Yuna. We're colleagues, after all. Yuna's smile widened. I wanted to reach out because I know how difficult it can be joining an organization like ours, especially for someone with your unique background. My unique background, Zara repeated carefully. You're half Ghanaian, half Korean. That can't have been easy growing up in Seoul. I imagine you faced a lot of prejudice. Yuna's voice dripped with sympathy. I just wanted you to know that I understand what it's like to be an outsider. As a woman in a male-dominated organization, I've had to fight for every bit of respect I've earned. I appreciate that. I also wanted to talk to you about your investigation into Park Min-ho. Yuna leaned forward slightly. I've reviewed some of the evidence you've gathered. It's impressive work, but I'm concerned you might be missing some context. What kind of context? Min-ho is a good man, loyal, dedicated, but he's also protected by powerful people in the organization, people who won't appreciate an outsider, especially one who looks different, making accusations against one of their own. Yuna's eyes held Zara's. You need to be very careful, Zara. This isn't just about evidence. It's about politics, about knowing whose toes you can step on and whose you can't. Are you saying I should stop investigating? I'm saying you should be strategic about how you proceed. Yuna pulled out her phone, showed Zara a series of financial documents. Look at these transactions. They show the same patterns you identified, but from a different angle. What looks like theft might actually be legitimate operational expenses that Min-ho was authorized to approve. Zara studied the documents, her mind racing. They were forgeries. Sophisticated ones, but forgeries nonetheless. Yuna was trying to provide an alternate explanation for the evidence, trying to make Zara doubt her own analysis. These show authorization from Director Lee, Zara said slowly. Exactly. Sang-woo approved these transactions, which means going after Min-ho means questioning Sang-woo's judgment. And trust me, that's not a fight you want to start in your first week. So, what do you suggest? Yuna smiled. I suggest we work together. You're smart, capable, clearly talented at financial analysis. But you're new. You don't understand the political landscape yet. Let me help you navigate it. Together, we can identify real problems without making enemies unnecessarily. What's in it for you? Smart question. Yuna's smile widened with approval. I'll be honest with you, Zara. This organization is changing. Ji-won is brilliant, but he's also isolated, paranoid. He sees traitors everywhere. Sometimes that paranoia makes him dangerous. He lashes out at innocent people because he can't distinguish real threats from imagined ones. Zara's pulse quickened. This was it. Yuna was about to reveal herself. You think Ji-won is the problem? I think Ji-won has become unstable. The hand injury makes him flawed. How can he physically protect the organization when he's unfit and disabled? He lies to everyone, even his most trusted advisors. How can we build a stable organization when the leader is fundamentally dishonest? Yuna leaned closer, her voice dropping. Some of us have been working to protect this organization from Ji-won's worst impulses, making sure loyal people like Min-ho aren't sacrificed to feed Ji-won's paranoia, quietly redirecting resources to ensure the organization survives even if Ji-won doesn't. Redirecting resources, Zara repeated. You mean stealing? Yuna didn't flinch. I mean preparing for the future. Ji-won won't last forever. When he falls, and he will fall, someone needs to be ready to step in. Someone who understands that this organization is bigger than any one person. Someone who can lead without the paranoia and violence that defines Ji-won's rule. And that someone is you. That someone could be us. Yuna's eyes glittered. You're smart, Zara. You've already proven that. And you understand what it's like to be underestimated because of who you are. Together, we could build something better. An organization that values merit over loyalty to a single unstable leader. An organization where people like us, outsiders, women, people who've had to fight for respect, actually have power. What about Yoonji? Did she refuse this same offer? Yuna's expression hardened fractionally. Yoonji was brilliant, but she was also naive. She believed in Jiwon's vision, believed that loyalty to a single person was more important than the health of the organization. When she discovered preparations for the future, she threatened to expose everything. I couldn't let that happen. So you killed her. So I protected the organization. Yuna's voice was cold now, clinical. Yoonji's death was unfortunate, but necessary, just like it will be necessary to remove Jiwon when the time comes. The question is whether you're smart enough to be on the right side when that happens. Zara's hand moved to the pendant, touched it twice. The signal. I think, she said carefully in Korean, that you just confessed to embezzlement and murder while trying to recruit me to commit treason. That was incredibly stupid. Yuna's face went white. Her hand dove into her purse, reaching for a weapon. But the coffee shop's door exploded inward. Ji-won's tactical team flooded in, weapons drawn, moving with lethal precision. Yuna's hand froze. Don't, Ji-won's voice cut through the chaos. He stood in the doorway, both hands visible, holding a gun in his right hand, pointed at her forehead, both hands perfectly functional. It's over, Yuna. Every word you just said was recorded. Every admission of guilt captured. You're done. Yuna stared at him, her face white. Your hand injury was a deception. Yes, he roared. You thought it made me weak that I wouldn't protect myself when war broke out, he hissed. Then Yuna turned to Zara, understanding finally dawning. You played you perfectly, Zara finished. You were right about one thing. I do understand what it's like to be underestimated. I just use it differently than you do. The tactical team moved in, zip-tying Yuna's hands, reading her rights in rapid Korean. She didn't resist, just stared at Ji-won with something like hatred. You're finished, she hissed. My allies won't let this stand. They'll tear you apart. Your allies, Ji-won said quietly, moving closer, are already in custody. We've been tracking everyone you've been in contact with for the past week. Every call, every message, every meeting. Your network is gone, Yuna. Dismantled. You're alone. He turned to Zara and his expression softened. Are you hurt? I'm fine. And she was. Better than fine. The weight that had been crushing her chest for 8 years suddenly felt lighter. Not gone. That would take more than this. But manageable. Then let's finish this properly. The emergency council meeting was called for that evening. Every member present. Every one of them required to watch the recording of Yuna's confession. When it finished, the silence was absolute. The evidence is conclusive, the elder council member said finally. Kim Yuna betrayed this organization, stole from us, murdered one of our own. The penalty is death. Yuna stood before them, hands bound, face pale but defiant. You're all fools. Ji-won has been lying to you for years. The hand injury was fake. Who knows what else he's been lying about? I've been lying about being weak, Jo-won said quietly. So my enemies would underestimate me. So traitors like you would feel confident enough to expose themselves. It worked. You think this is over? Yuna's laugh was bitter. There are others, people you trust, people close to you. This organization is rotting from the inside, and killing me won't stop it. Then I'll find them too. Ji-won's voice was ice, and I'll eliminate them, one by one, until this organization is clean. The elder council member stood. Kim Yuna, you are sentenced to death. Sentence to be carried out immediately. Zara looked away as they took Yuna from the chamber. She'd seen enough death, caused enough death, even if only indirectly. She didn't need to watch this final act. Jiwon found her outside, standing in the Seoul night air, trying to breathe through the adrenaline crash. "It's done," he said simply. "I know. You did well. Better than well. Perfect." "It doesn't feel perfect." Zara turned to face him. "Yuna's dead. Yoonji is still dead. My father is still dead. None of this brings them back." "No," Jiwon agreed, "but it means they didn't die for nothing. Yoonji's death led to Yuna's exposure. Your father's death led you to me. Financial crimes, money laundering, proof of his involvement in your father's murder. Enough to destroy him completely. I've already contacted prosecutors in 3 countries. Brennan will be arrested within the week. He'll spend the rest of his life in prison." Zara took the folder, felt its weight. "Why not just kill him? Because you deserve better than revenge. You deserve justice, real justice, the kind that happens in courtrooms with judges and juries and laws." Jiwon's hand found hers. "I'm a criminal, Zara. I'll never pretend otherwise. But you're not. You're better than this world, better than me, and you deserve a future that isn't built on bodies. What if I don't want to be better?" The words came out raw. "What if I want to stay, work for you, help build something that actually means something? Then you stay." His voice was soft. "Not as my employee, as my partner, equal in every way. We clean up this organization, make it something your father wouldn't be ashamed of, something that operates by rules, by codes, by honor instead of just fear. You think that's possible? I think if anyone can help me do it, it's you." Jiwon pulled her closer. "The half-Ghanaian, half-Korean woman who broke into my office, survived my world, and managed to make me want to be better than what I am. Stay with me, Zara. Not because you have to, because you choose to." She looked up at him. This man who'd killed people before breakfast and saved her life when he didn't have to. This man who'd built an empire on violence but wanted to build something better. This man who saw her, really saw her, all of her, mixed heritage and righteous anger and brilliant mind, and wanted her anyway. "I choose to stay," she said, and meant it. Jiwon kissed her then, fierce and claiming and absolutely certain. And Zara kissed him back, slow, needy, and desperate, pouring 8 years of grief and rage and desperate hope into the contact. Around them, Seoul glittered and pulsed with life. Above them, stars struggled to be seen through the city's light pollution. And between them, something new was being born. Not redemption, not forgiveness, but possibility. The forbidden alliance between a crime lord and the daughter of his victim had become something else entirely. Something dangerous and beautiful and completely unprecedented. 3 months later, Zara stood in a courtroom in Boston, watching Richard Brennan being led away in handcuffs, convicted on 17 counts. Financial crimes, conspiracy to commit murder, money laundering. He'd die in prison, old and forgotten and destroyed. Her mother sat beside her, Amma's hand gripping hers tightly. "Your father would be proud," Amma whispered in Twi, their private language. "So proud of who you've become." "I became a criminal, Mama. You became a fighter. That's what we taught you to be." Amma smiled, tears streaming down her face. "Your father was Korean. I'm Ghanaian. You're both. You're neither. You're everything in between. And you used all of it to survive, to fight, to win. That's not criminal. That's brilliant." Zara hugged her mother, breathing in the familiar scent of shea butter and home. She thought about Jiwon waiting for her back in Seoul, about the organization they were building together, about Yoonji's justice, finally served, about her father's vindication, finally achieved. She thought about being half Korean, half Ghanaian, wholly herself. About a crime lord who'd shown her the truth about his injured hand and trusted her with everything. About forbidden alliances that became something more. "I love you, Mama," she said in Twi. "I love you, my daughter. Now go. Your future is waiting." Zara flew back to Seoul that night. Ji-won met her at the airport, both hands visible, no more pretending. They drove through the city she'd learned to call home, past neighborhoods where mixed families like hers could exist, past buildings where empires were built and broken. "Welcome back," Ji-won said in Korean. "It's good to be home," Zara replied, and meant it, giving him a kiss on the cheek and ruffling his hair. The Forbidden Alliance had become a partnership. The partnership had become love, and love, against all odds and logic, had become salvation. Not the kind found in churches or temples, but the kind built by two broken people choosing each other day after day, despite everything that should have kept them apart. Seoul glittered beyond the car windows. And in that glittering darkness, two people who should have been enemies held hands and drove toward a future they'd build together. Imperfect, dangerous, absolutely forbidden, and completely, perfectly theirs. Financial crimes, money laundering, proof of his involvement in your father's murder. Enough to destroy him completely. I've already contacted prosecutors in 3 countries. Brennan will be arrested within the week. He'll spend the rest of his life in prison. Zara took the folder, felt its weight. Why not just kill him? Because you deserve better than revenge. You deserve justice, real justice, the kind that happens in courtrooms with judges and juries and laws. Jiwon's hand found hers. I'm a criminal, Zara. I'll never pretend otherwise. But you're not. You're better than this world, better than me, and you deserve a future that isn't built on bodies. What if I don't want to be better? The words came out raw. What if I want to stay, work for you, help build something that actually means something? Then you stay. His voice was soft. Not as my employee, as my partner, equal in every way. We clean up this organization, make it something your father wouldn't be ashamed of, something that operates by rules, by codes, by honor instead of just fear. You think that's possible? I think if anyone can help me do it, it's you. Jiwon pulled her closer. The half-Ghanaian, half-Korean woman who broke into my office, survived my world, and managed to make me want to be better than what I am. Stay with me, Zara. Not because you have to, because you choose to. She looked up at him. This man who'd killed people before breakfast and saved her life when he didn't have to. This man who'd built an empire on violence but wanted to build something better. This man who saw her, really saw her, all of her, mixed heritage and righteous anger and brilliant mind, and wanted her anyway. I choose to stay, she said, and meant it. Jiwon kissed her then, fierce and claiming and absolutely certain. And Zara kissed him back, slow, needy, and desperate, pouring 8 years of grief and rage and desperate hope into the contact. Around them, Seoul glittered and pulsed with life. Above them, stars struggled to be seen through the city's light pollution. And between them, something new was being born. Not redemption, not forgiveness, but possibility. The forbidden alliance between a crime lord and the daughter of his victim had become something else entirely. Something dangerous and beautiful and completely unprecedented. 3 months later, Zara stood in a courtroom in Boston, watching Richard Brennan being led away in handcuffs, convicted on 17 counts. Financial crimes, conspiracy to commit murder, money laundering. He'd die in prison, old and forgotten and destroyed. Her mother sat beside her, Amma's hand gripping hers tightly. Your father would be proud, Amma whispered in Twi, their private language. So proud of who you've become. I became a criminal, Mama. You became a fighter. That's what we taught you to be. Amma smiled, tears streaming down her face. Your father was Korean. I'm Ghanaian. You're both. You're neither. You're everything in between. And you used all of it to survive, to fight, to win. That's not criminal. That's brilliant. Zara hugged her mother, breathing in the familiar scent of shea butter and home. She thought about Jiwon waiting for her back in Seoul, about the organization they were building together, about Yoonji's justice, finally served, about her father's vindication, finally achieved. She thought about being half Korean, half Ghanaian, wholly herself. About a crime lord who'd shown her the truth about his injured hand and trusted her with everything. About forbidden alliances that became something more. I love you, Mama, she said in Twi. I love you, my daughter. Now go. Your future is waiting. Zara flew back to Seoul that night. Jiwon met her at the airport, both hands visible, no more pretending. They drove through the city she'd learned to call home, past neighborhoods where mixed families like hers could exist, past buildings where empires were built and broken. Welcome back, Jiwon said in Korean. It's good to be home, Zara replied, and meant it, giving him a kiss on the cheek and ruffling his hair. The Forbidden Alliance had become a partnership. The partnership had become love, and love, against all odds and logic, had become salvation. Not the kind found in churches or temples, but the kind built by two broken people choosing each other day after day, despite everything that should have kept them apart. Soul glittered beyond the car windows. And in that glittering darkness, two people who should have been enemies held hands and drove toward a future they'd build together. Imperfect, dangerous, absolutely forbidden, and completely, perfectly theirs.